It is the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast bringing you this week's John Deere Classic, baby. In Silvis, Illinois, it's your boys, the People's Major. Let's have a bang. And the show's always brought to you by DraftKings. Use code FGD when signing up as a first-time depositor. We'd really appreciate your support there. Help us help you in that department. Make sure you let us know below who is going to win this week in the comments below. The first person to do that gets a free month in the Model Maniac Patreon. And as always, we are brought to you by my wonderful co-host, the king of the couch, Kenny Kim. What's cooking, Kenny?
Byron, what's up, brother? I know it's a big event for you. Your Super Bowl, looking forward to it. I'm actually doing the draft over at the King of the Draft with Spencer this week, so we'll see how that goes. It's sort of pissed that it happened in a non-signature event because I've been crushing the signature events this year in DFS, and I've just been about average in the non-sig. Last week, of course, the cash lineup was real strong. All four cash game cornerstones finishing inside the top 10. So good week. Let's talk about this week. What did you think of the event this past week, Byron?
It was an interesting event, Kenny. It was, weird seeing Scotty Scheffler shoot 60 and no one really bat an eye. It was kind of frustrating from a betting perspective. I had a couple guys finish T24 instead of T20, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. But we had two first round leaders in the first round, obviously, of the 7. Guys just couldn't get one more putt to fall. So tinkering around. But I think this morning's finish was quite interesting with old Vic. Scotty Scheffler played that hole 5 times and played it 1 over par. Victor Hovland played the hole 5 times and played 3 under. So, it's sometimes the hole you play in a playoff determines your fate. And you could really see Scotty Scheffler. I think he's going to show up very pissed off at the Genesis Scottish Open, I'd imagine, because I think this one hurt. I think this is like the first time he's lost a tournament. We haven't seen him do this before, where he like freaks out and misses a 3-footer, 2-footer, 4-footer, whatever. It was a very short putt for Scotty Scheffler's standards, and didn't get it in, man. So he kind of choked it away there for the world number 1. But again, a fantastic finish for him. This is now his 4th second place finish this year. Insane stuff. So shout out Victor. Shows up with 1 top 5, and then boom, off you go. Bob's your uncle. We got a winner.
Yeah, Victor. I thought it was impressive in the playoff today. Both of them with a nice drive within a few feet of each other. Victor hits at 6 feet or 8 feet. Scotty hits at 4 feet, right? And then Scotty misses that putt. We saw Victor last week at the U.S. Open practicing afterwards. Missed the cut by 1 out there working on his game. It's tough to try and snag him at the right time. You sort of have to see his game sort of trending up and bet him, multiple weeks in a row. Because that's really the way to do it. Trying to pick and choose is tough with Victor because you really don't know what you're going to get. But good for him, good victory. Gets that win there. He didn't really have, 2 years ago was sort of a wash. Last year, I think he had 1 or 2 wins. And then this year he got his win, even though he hasn't been playing that great. So getting that W every year is sort of a big thing. So good for him. What they did, though, with Fitz and Scheffler on the last day, they had a nice little cushion, but only shot like 1 and 2 under or something like that, for the round for them, while we got a lot of people to try and catch up. I had Morikawa. He hit the each way for me, shooting 61 on Saturday. Fitzy missed the each way by 1 shot. Griffin missed the each way by 1 shot. So those hurt, but, DFS was good. Like I said, the cash lineup was strong with 4 guys in the top 10 for my cash game cornerstones. I cashed in, I think, the $33. I cashed in the $100 single entry. So it was a good DFS week. I won probably like $400, 8 units profit. So that was solid. Throw in the each way in there. It was a successful week. But, I feel like I was close, and so I'm ready for this week. Anything else from this past week you want to talk about?
Statfish of the week, Chris Goddard sandwiched a 65 and a 63 with a 71 and a 70 to finish T30. I'll take that as a catch and release type situation. We never quite yanked him out of the pond like we did with Bryson, but Goddard got her up, did not get her up. He got it up, and then it kind of fell down. So 71 and a 70 around TPC River Highlands, not going to get it done for you in a signature event. So we'll see what happens in that department. I also want to shout out Matt Fitzpatrick is having to play his tail off to stay ahead of his brother right now. Alex Fitzpatrick finished T7 in yet another signature event. He is one of the more underrated, not underrated, but under-recognized, underappreciated golfers on the PGA Tour since his big brother is won a couple already this year, and he won it with his big brother at the Zurich. So he's T7, man. Does he win a tournament this year?
I'm pretty sure they finished like first and second tee to green.
Yes.
Or they were at some point on
Shout
Sunday,
out my boy
like
Tybo.
Second.
Yeah, that was his tweet. Great tweet there. So first and second, shout out Tybo. But if you're going to do that tweet, you got to go Fitzpatrick Alex or Fitzpatrick Matt, then Fitzpatrick Alex. You can't have Alex Fitzpatrick, Matt Fitzpatrick. You just got to do the last name first, buddy. But that's my opinion. You do what you want to do with your Twitter account. Kenny, other names: Akshay Bhatia, Colin Morikawa, Colin. Starting to, do you think he even wanted to make it to the playoff? Because I think he was freaking out about having to like reactivate his back.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain he's pretty chill that the boys didn't force a playoff there with him included. They both had to bogey the final hole of regulation to get him in the mix, and he was busy hitting like these 3/4 sand wedges in the TV room waiting area there, mini tweaking the back there. So I was really curious, like at what point he would hit the range and how he would have warmed up, or because that must have been like obviously going through his head nonstop.
Yeah. I mean, it was very unlikely. I mean, the Travelers was playing super easy. I definitely didn't see that happening. Now, especially, but Scotty did leave himself like a 3-4 footer in regulation. He had to make. So it almost ended on Sunday with
a 9-footer. My brother.
Was it that far? Yeah,
it was a 3-stepper. You do the 2 steps and then you like shuffle to get it in there.
I mean, he I don't know what he did on his approach putt. I mean, he banged that shit like 8 feet by, right? Isn't that what happened?
Shout out the broadcast as well, who now adopt a pre-putt image where they've shown you other putts that come from that exact area where Scotty was coming from, and they showed like 4 or 5 other putts. Every single one of those guys blasted it past the hole, because I think it's just a sneaky fast putt that none of them saw. There's a couple out there that I think might be a little grainy, and especially with the weather involved, with the wetness, I think the greens were still rolling fast, but they were a lot more receptive. It's kind of like fucking with their brains a little bit there. So he just ripped it by there, and it was basically the same putt that he had from 4 feet to extend the playoff.
Yeah.
And that's the one he missed, and he just ripped it through the break. It's a tough putt, and unfortunately that's just how it goes, So I think Scotty might have been more appreciative if there were some protesters that had the whole location moved, maybe, like when he won here 2 years ago against maybe Scotty Scheffler was, I'm just joking, but thought that was impressive. Wyndham Clark T5 as well, right after a U.S. Open win. I think he's just relishing his form right now and trying to cash in, man. Stack wins, brother, and he's looking to do so. Hit one of the weirdest 9-irons I've ever seen in my life. Classic, take off to kind of reduce the spin and then thin it into the water, like one of us. So I thought that was fantastic. Corey Connors with the first top 10 in forever, I think, T7. So fun stuff at the Travelers, but looks like you want to move on from the Travelers, Kenny. Let's chat about anything else you want to chat about that's happened more recently.
Shipnuck had the article about Phil this week, pretty damning. If you guys didn't hear about it, it's basically numerous people accusing him of confirming him of cheating on his wife. I mean, like, okay, people cheat. That's not that big of a deal for me. But, there's different factors when it comes to that. So I'm not even going to go into that. But, I mean, trying to bang a friend's wife. That one, Ashley Perez went out and went on the record and said that basically Phil, when Phil and Pat Perez, she was married to Pat Perez, were hanging out at his place, I don't know, in Vegas or something like that, Phil's place. And, Pat went to the bathroom. and Phil showed Ashley a picture of him fully erect, naked, on his phone, and told her, when Pat goes to sleep, I'm going to leave my door open. Come see me. Now, here's the thing. I've said this before. Women lie, right? But there's actually there's sort of confirmation on this, because about 3 years ago, Pat Perez was on a podcast, and he said that he hates Phil, and he can't say why, but obviously that's probably the reason why. Ashley told him, his wife told him what happened. Now, here's the thing. Like, when we have athletes and we put them up on this pedestal, it usually doesn't end well, right? I mean, like, some people are just assholes. Some people are just not good people. And the thing is, I don't even know if that's Phil, because it seems like he has some issues. But, I don't think you can take away from what he did on the course because of any of this. I don't like marring people's careers because of, infidelity, right? It just doesn't seem right to me. But here's what I'll say about Phil, and what I can compare it to my life. Like, that's the only thing I can do, right? It seems like he has a problem. Probably booze, maybe more, right? You're just making an assumption here, because everything in an article is like, after a few bottles of wine, after a glass of red wine of this. It was sort of when the issue started, with Phil. And I look back to my life when I was in my 20s, right? A fun time. Don't get me wrong. I had a blast. But definitely had some issues in my life back then. And so what happened to me back then was, my roommate was a drug dealer, right? And so, I always had a bunch of blow in my pocket all the time. And, when you live in a small town and you're in the bar scene, like, everyone knows. And so all the girls who enjoy that type of stuff, they knew, right? That I always had it. And so, you'd always be followed around by these women. And, in the beginning, I was, I'm not a mean guy. I wasn't talking mad shit and saying inappropriate stuff to them. But as my addiction grew, and I realized that I could say whatever the fuck I wanted to say to these women, and they would still come back with me. You know what I'm saying? You get sort of disillusioned thinking that's because of you and what you're saying, when it's actually the stuff that was in my pocket that was leading them to not worry about the stuff that I was saying, or being worried about that type of stuff, accepting the crude and inappropriate remarks that I would say to women back then, right? And so, the problem is, when you're in that group, it's fine, right? I mean, you're in that group of people. It's when it expands to, like, real life, regular life. And that's what it seems like is happening to Phil. With a guy, an athlete like him, right? You can say a lot of stuff to the ladies and get away with it because you're famous and they only want certain things from you, right? But maybe in his mind, like it was in my mind, you get a diluted thought where you think it's because of you. You think it's because of your game. You think it's because your shit don't stink, when it's actually not that reason at all. And so once you start bringing that into like real life people situations, is when the addiction's really bad and you start having problems like Phil has had, like I had. I'm losing jobs and stuff like that. It's not an excuse, but I don't want to necessarily think Phil is a horrible person because of the thing. People cheat, okay? I mean, like, it's not great, but I mean, like, in my opinion, I don't think men are supposed to be with the same woman forever. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like not in our nature. It's not like we're evolved like busting up in as many women as we can to procreate. I mean, that's what human nature is from the beginning, right? And we sort of changed ourselves to be like, okay, one woman the whole time. It's hard to change nature, right? And so that's one of the reasons why maybe I'm not married, because I know I could not be with one woman, and I don't want to put the woman through that, right?
Well, your proposal, you threw a wedding ring at your soon-to-be fiance.
Yeah, I definitely threw it. I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, I was drunk, and I was like right at the beginning of that addiction time, right? You know what I'm saying? You do some crazy shit. Now, again, I'm not giving Phil a pass, because, the one thing I didn't do is, try and bang my friends' girlfriends or wives. To me, that's a step too far. But again, everyone has their problems, either with substances, what it seems like with Phil, and it leads to bad stuff. Is what happens, and you can change, and hopefully he gets some help, and stuff like that. But in the long run, putting athletes on a pedestal for not just their on course or on field effort is a dangerous situation, because when you get to that level of money and that level of success and that level of fame, things can change very, very easily. And it's not anyone's fault. Like, it's just a situation that you're in and the people that you surround yourselves with. And so hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen with Phil. He's basically blacklisted. It sucks because his career was excellent. He was one of the best golfers I'd ever seen play the game. And I'm still going to remember him as one of the best golfers I've ever seen play the game. But I think that's where we need to sort of keep the limit at when it comes to athletes, right? Because you're going to be disappointed more often than not.
I think athletes, I know this is obviously a terrible take, but I think athletes need to be treated the same as other people. The moment you let them have any sort of leeway, then it's just they just keep pushing the boundaries. That's what they're naturally competitive. They push the boundaries their entire life to get to where they are. The reason they are a professional athlete is because something in their brain does not let them stop. They refuse to quit. They refuse to give up. Like, they are super competitive and super driven. And, sometimes there's just vices, buddy. We all have them. And, the more famous you become and things like that, the more they exaggerated. And I've got zero.
And then you add substances to that.
Yeah. And I think
when issues
overall
really start.
is an addict by nature. If you think of all the gambling stories about Phil Mickelson, if you think about he just needs action. He needs some challenge. He's obviously a super smart person when it comes to just, life and needs challenges in order to stay entertained. And, at some point, I think if you're just going to, we've said this between me and my wife, like, if we're going to cheat, just tell me, man, just go and do it. Don't do it behind my back. There's no point. Like, just go do it. Not that that's going to likely happen, but I've got zero sympathy for that shit. Like, if that's what you're going to be getting up to, you shouldn't have got married in the first place. Like you said, Kenny, if you think we're supposed to be, these wild free stallions versus penguins, nesting over one or two eggs, you pick your lane. You penguin or pony, and off you go. So I think Phil is also like he's on the back end of his career, and it's just sad. It's sad.
It's a lot going on. It said the article specifically said he changed around 2015.
Yeah,
and it's probably when he was around 45 years old. You realize your career, you're on the back half of your life, and then sometimes you just start making inappropriate decisions.
Yep.
And again, we don't know the relationship between Phil and his wife. Maybe she's cool with it. Why hasn't she left him? You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's something going on. So I don't want to talk about that, about the cheating, because I don't know the situation. The article, brought him back as back. Now, the thing that bothered me, like I said, is him, trying to bang Pat President's wife while they're married. That's a step too far, in my opinion. But again, when you have things going on and everyone's telling you that you're the shit and your shit don't stink, and you could say whatever you want to these people, and they're gonna laugh and giggle or whatever. Basically, what I was saying with these girls that I was with back then. You know what I'm saying? You get an inflated sense of ego, thinking that it's because of you, when in reality, like I said, it was because what was in my pocket was what they wanted, right? And for Phil's people, it's to be friends with or more than friends with a guy of his ilk, a celebrity, a guy with money, a famous guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it gets to your head. You think it's you, and it's not really you. Yeah. And then you bring that in to different other aspects of the main part of your life, the real part of your life, and that's when trouble starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not good. Weird stuff. While you were chatting about this, I was thinking of like Serena Williams. At one point, she like just completely lambasted a referee and umpire, and just dehumanized him like so badly. I just couldn't like. I lost all respect for her. In that very moment, is she still she's one of the greatest tennis players to ever walk the planet? Yes. Is she a giant bitch? Absolutely. Like that's what makes her the best in the world. Is full of giant tool, bastard, douche, whatever you want to like label these people. That's likely what they have to be in order, and unfortunately there's people like Scotty that also, you never know what happens ultimately down the road, but if anything like this happened with Scotty Scheffler, we'd be pretty shocked,
Yeah.
You can just kind of see.
And early Mickelson, you were probably shocked too. I mean, remember that baby-faced kid who came out that everyone loved?
Yeah.
I mean.
But Phil to me has always been, there's guys that can just, they're so two-faced. They can sell you stuff that you need to know and hear, and like personal family matters. Yeah, I cheated on my wife. Like we, with her history, we all thinking she's back with cancer, and there's inferences that he let people believe when he put his Masters post out about not playing. So. When you fuck up, just own up. It can solve a lot of problems, but some of these people are just too proudful to do it, and like as he's just not going to be able to show his face anywhere anymore now, unfortunately. So tough scenes there for Philip, but there's a lot of grandmas out there who are wishing they looked like Pat Perez's wife. But anyway, Kenny. You played some golf this week.
I played some golf. I took a little staycation this week. I took Thursday and Friday off. Went to a resort near my house. A buddy of mine's a member over there, so he got me on Friday. Played some golf with some friends, drank some beers. Went down, stayed at the hotel on the resort, and I went to the spa. I got my mom a nice little spa package, a walk in the forest, some crazy shit. Hooked my mom up with that. I got a deep tissue massage. Let's just say, in the past, I have been to massage parlors. This is the nicest one that I've been to. And first off, I knew that this wasn't the normal massage parlor that I have visited a couple of times.
The Robert Crofty
in my life. All right. Now, first off, the girl's name was an American girl with an American name and no accent. Her name wasn't Svetlana. Her name wasn't, Sun Yi, right? So I knew right there, there's some things that I can't get away with here that maybe I could at other establishments. The problem with this is my guy down there doesn't recognize these things, right? So I get on there. It's nice, really warm massage table. Get down on the face, and you hear the therapist get the oil and start, doing this with their hand. That it's like muscle memory for Mr. Little Kim down there, right? She didn't even touch me. I heard that and I was like, oh, this is trouble. This is trouble. Like I didn't even touch me yet. I was like
Pavlov's dog.
Exactly. It was Pavlov's theory. Right, and my dick was the dog, right, at that point in time. So I have to keep telling myself, I'm like, fuck, this is not that type of place, Kenny. Calm the fuck down, bro. Calm the fuck down. All right, this is not that establishment, okay. And so she gets to it, and it's great, and I'm able to really chill. I'm good. I'm 45 years old, almost 46. It's a lot easier to make that motherfucker chill now. I'll tell you that right now. A lot fucking easier to do that. And so, she keeps on going, right? And she's doing it's great. Like digging her elbows in that bitch, like real. I was feeling wonderful. And then she gets to the feet. I guess I didn't realize I was a feet guy. Massaging the feet while I'm on my stomach, right? And then all of a sudden, my boy down there is like, whoa, this is great. This is amazing. I want to say hello. I'm like, no, dog, chill. You got to chill. I had to start thinking about, ugly people, fat
puppies.
girls. Nothing wrong with fat girls. Fat girls need love too. I have given them love. But I was thinking about that, right? And so, is my camera unfocused?
Yeah, it's kind
is.
of in sync with what happened there.
Yeah, you're good.
I don't know what's going on, but I'll try and fix it after the story.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so I have to really chill. She's massaging my feet. So, I turn around. I was like, hold on, give me like 10 seconds. And I'm sure she knew what the fuck was up. I mean, right? And so I was like, I told her to grab my phone, is what I did. I had to check something on my phone. So that was the excuse that I gave her. Wow, my boy was calming down a little bit. Ended up being great. It was absolutely wonderful. Got that nice little massage. Now, looking back at the price, it was like $300. I'd rather pay $300 at the other place, but it was still solid. Now, the funny thing is, so I've been drinking all day.
Being
and I haven't been really drinking that often here. But it was a vacation, so I started drinking on the course. Got to the spa, had like 3 glasses of champagne at the spa. Hit the jacuzzi, hit the sauna afterwards. Had dinner with my mom. Had like 2 or 3 cocktails. Pretty lit. Going to a bar at the resort, and again, my buddy's a member there. So he was at the bar, him and his wife. We're bullshitting. He introduced me to his wife. Wonderful lady. Actually stunningly beautiful. I could tell, in her prime, she was dime material, right? I was like, good work, buddy. Mark, if you're listening, that's solid work. I don't know if you remember this, though. Wow, because I will say Mark probably drank more than I did. He introduced me to his wife like 6 times because he forgot. He introduced me to her each time. But I told the story of the massage that I got. And I might have embellished a little bit because I was hammered. And the look his wife gave me probably would have, killed little children back in the day. Like, it was just, she looked at me hard. I was like, oh, I probably should. So, Mark, if she woke up in the morning and told you you can't hang out with Kenny anymore, that will be the reason why, right, about that. So I apologize about that. All wives hate me. All wives and girlfriends hate me. I'm the single guy who gets their husbands in trouble. So I apologize. Tell Barb I'm sorry. I was drunk. But it was a good time. And we played golf. Thursday I played. I shot 17 over, shot 89 with 2 triples and 4 doubles. 3 over on 12 holes. 14 over on 6 holes. It was horrible. I know you played some golf this weekend.
That's incredible, Kenny. Going back and forth like that is just certain rounds. Not going to really comment too much more on your story there. Yeah, Mrs. Maniac, you never know if she hears what's going on this show either. But when it comes to golf, this week, Spirit Valley, I went and visited my buddy up in Humboldt, and we played Spirit Valley. It's a nice little 6,400 yard golf course. I'm going to share my Google Earth. I had an even crazier round than you, Kenny. I shot an 82, and I had 4 sevens and an 8, 5 birdies and an eagle. Okay,
Jesus.
In my round. So this we're gonna rapid fire through this. Teed off here, hybrid, hit the Mr. Green, chip short, putt from just off the green. And I kid you not, it's one of the most ferocious horseshoes I've ever had. It was a full dick length towards me in front of the hole after lipping out. Like, it was multiple balls towards us. So I was like, oh, this is how this is going to go today. Cool. Next hole, we drive up, kind of scoot around here. It's internal OB. You have to kind of scoot down here. I blasted out there, hit a tree.
Are you
down,
playing on
boom.
fucking Mars, dude? Like,
Well, look, okay, this is fucking Iowa, Michael. Relax. You live in Canada. You know what the world looks like in the middle of winter. I'm very disappointed.
Ounce of green, dude.
Shut up. No one interrupted Kenny's story, and here you are from the peanut gallery giving me crap about what the color of the grass is over here. It's just, this was just taken in winter. Be an adult, Michael, okay, and produce the show. I make a triple on this hole after 3 putting, blah, blah, blah. We move on to the next par 3. I hit it to 15 feet, make the birdie. Next par 5 over here, I blast it into this par 5's fairway. So I completely missed the fairway, chip it out, make a... I'm losing my focus here. Oh, we go all the way down over here. I make a 7 on the first par 5. Next par 5's coming back up with the wind. I blast it up, shoot it over the green, chip, 7. So I'm like, okay, the round's gone. I've made a triple and 2 doubles on the first 2 par 5s of the round. I'm like $1 million over par. It is what it is. We go back to this little hole here on Mars, and I decided that I'm not going to hit a golf ball out of bounds today, because when you play in Iowa, there's just cornfoils everywhere, and hitting it into the beans is
How
like
do
one
you
of
hit
the
it out of
worst.
bounds on that course? Where the fuck is OB?
Yeah, this is bean field. This is harvested beans.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like this, yeah, we are. This is the course in Spring Valley, in the middle of nowhere, man. Just delightful Iowa little golf course. It's $750 for a annual membership. Like, this is the kind of place. It was beautiful.
The course I played at this week, $25,000 initiation,
Yeah.
$1,200 a month.
Yeah. This course was in fantastic shape. It was one of the most beautiful manicured golf courses I've ever seen. I didn't place my ball once in the rough or the fairway. It was just perfect. The lie was bad in the rough, but it wasn't like in a hole in the rough. It was just a bad lie with grass, like the professionals. Like when you realize these guys have perfect lies even though they're bad. This is what I don't play many of these courses, and it was awesome. So make my 4 on this hole, and then we kind of knock it down to the middle of the fairway, and then our second birdie of the day shows up. I knock it to 15 feet, roll in another. Then the round starts getting fun, because then you kind of scoot back to this part of the town here. You got to carry this water. The wind was howling into our face. I hit 3-wood just over the water. So I leave myself with like a full 6-iron into this green all the way over here. And this golf course was like very P-dye. This bunker made it look like it was part of the river. So you just felt super claustrophobic. This part of the thing was out of bounds. I knocked my ball onto the green over here, and I just seal like a complete 30-foot winder for birdie. We back on track, baby. Then we go par 3. Scoot onto this one. It's a tiny little ass green. I hit my ball right over here. It rolled all the way back down, because this was like the most Shinnecock green we've seen on the golf course. There wasn't a single straight putt we had once. My buddy chipped it to the very top of the hill, and it just trickled. It took about 15 seconds to get all the way back to the bottom of this thing over here. So I 3-putted because I didn't want to like putt it off the green, so I left it above the hole, and then whatever. We move on. This is when I started posting to the Twitter people, tell me what I'm going to shoot on the back. I'll give you a free Model Maniac account. And off we go. So we go and find ourselves the 10th, which is just a straight up hole down the middle here. My buddy says, okay, stay left, because this bunker can get you really in trouble with the flag. We hit it perfectly over here. I had a sandwich. I hit it to 3 feet. Boom. In she went. Birdie number 3 of the day. We walk off of that hole. Then we scoot to this side of the golf course. It's a par 3. I have another horrible horseshoe, 4-4. Cool. I walk off of there. This is the hole that I posted on Twitter as well. This tree is a lot more obnoxious than you realize, so I blasted it into these trees. Under a pine tree, I was like standing there with like the branch on my head, trying to like get out from under the pine tree, and then the moment I swung, the branch like slapped me in the face, and I like shanked it into the shit. And then I tried to get it out of the shit. I hit it into a tree. We lost the ball. While we were going to my provisional, we found the ball. I made a 7 on this hole. So my third 7 on a par 5 of the round, after getting up and down, for a 7 there. Then we moved.
You're Cam Young.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what my deal is, but I cannot get it together on par 5s. And at this point, I need to take a shit, because I just smashed a glizzy at the turn, and we are now in a situation. Kenny's trying to keep his stuff down. I'm trying to keep my stuff in, and we make our way down to a little par 4 that you kind of hit this fade with the water over here. I hit it under another tree. I leave it short of the green, and I chip that bitch in. I walk up to the green, I take the flag out, and I chip it in. I'm like, okay, here we go. This is while I'm clenching. I jump in. We go clubhouse right over here, do our thing. I walk out the back for obvious reasons, So wasn't going to walk through the clubhouse to the 10th tee box or the 14th tee box. I come out the back here. We go again. Next par 5, final par 5. Guess what I do? I blast my golf ball like pretty much over here. I I almost missed the second fairway. I get it over there, make myself a casual little up and down for 5, par, cool beans. Now is when the round starts getting really fun. We are looking at a golf hole over here. This is one of the more difficult venues. And I just rip driver all the way from this side over here, over these trees to like right around over here, like a 320 peach, like downwind, sorted. About a 50-yarder in, hole it. Just chip it, pitch it up there, just cruise straight at the flag and just went, doop, in it went. My buddy was on the green already. He threw it all the way back to me. Off we went. I just made another eagle. I made my first eagle. We've had multiple birdies. I get onto the next tee box and I hit my next tee shot like over here, I think. I missed all the trees that were in the way and I towed it. I can't find the middle of my club face. So I just hold out for eagle. The next shot I hit is over here. I make an 8 on this hole, ultimately. Rip the next drive straight into these trees, punch it out, and my ball was like clear up against this the cornfields over here. So I was up against the corn and behind the tree. I chip it just short, chip it on, 2-putt, 8 is what it is. The wind is howling into us like this way. We get to this next par 3, and there's out of bounds right. There's water left. This is basically number 12 at Augusta, but the opposite. Basically looking, like the green is kind of sloped that way. There's water left. I hit a 6-iron straight into this freaking bridge, right under the bridge. And I'm like, man, I just can't get this together. I drop my ball over here. Whoop! Zip it in for a 3, baby. Pass save from under the bridge. My second hole out from like 40, 50 yards of the day. It was the sauciest up and down I've had in a long time. I go play the next hole, make bogey. Had 3 hole outs, an eagle, 4 sevens, and an 8. Shooting 82. I've shot 69s in my life, and I shot a 90 in college. In my senior year, I shot a 90, and because I chipped one out of bounds. I tried to chip it under a tree. I hit the tree, and it bounced on the cart path and went OB. Then I'm shooting 90 there. This was one of the most amazing rounds of golf for me because I just didn't really care about the bad stuff, and I just knew there was just magic in the air. Anytime I looked at something and felt frisky, it just went. Chipping stuff in. Driver was like out of control, but I was coming from everywhere and just dealing with it. And I've just been on a high since. It's been amazing. Like sometimes golf can just be therapeutic. We were in the middle of nowhere, friends, and it changed my life. It was awesome. So I had a blast. It was great. I figured I'd just share. It was a hard share there. I kind of blew through it.
Sounded like a crazy ass round.
But
definitely sounded like a crazy ass round.
Every time something like that happened,
how
my buddy
fast
just
were
looked
the
at me.
greens? How fast were the greens?
Relatively quick, because I 3-putted a couple downhill multiple times. So it was really, really slick. It was very Shinnecocky. There was. Is there a smudge, Kenny, on your camera? Have you?
Maybe. Keep going. Don't worry about me.
That looks better. That actually looks better now that you are closer. You're almost too far away. It's like the further away you get, the worse it is. So yeah, that was my round. It was a blast. I wasn't driving. I usually grab a 6-pack for the front 9, grab a 6-pack for the back, and I cracked my 6th beer going down 18 fairway. It was just that kind of a day where I just didn't have any reason to be drinking. It was just I just was too busy having crazy stuff happen the whole day that I just forgot to drink. It was wild. So we'll see how it goes the next time we get out on the golf course, but I doubt it's going to be anything like the round I just had. It will remain one of my favorite rounds ever. He has Spirit Valley's golf course hat that I bought there. So it was a good day there. Before we do that, let's dive into this week's sponsor, DraftKings, from a word from our partners. New DraftKings customers, get in the game right now. Sign up today and make your first deposit of just $5 and instantly get $25 in free Pick 6 bonus picks, plus a powerful single-use 100% winnings boost token. That means you can play for free with $25 in bonus picks, and if you win, boost those winnings up to 100%. That's up to $100 boost in cash. New customers only. Bonus picks and your boost token expire in just 14 days, so don't wait. This offer is live from June 20th through August 23rd. Download the DraftKings app, sign up, and start playing Pick 6 today. Must be 18 or older, 19 in Alabama and Nebraska, 21 in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Valid only where Pick 6 is available. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. New customers only, minimum $5 deposit required. Full terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Play free, win bigger, only on DraftKings Pick 6.
All right, so let's get to the course for this week for the John Deere Classic. The PGA Tour heads to Silvis, Illinois for the John Deere Classic from TPC Deere Run. This tournament has been played here since 2000. In the beginning years, a lot of first-timers and a lot of no-names won this event because the fields were extremely, extremely weak. Then in 2008, they brought the jet, where this was like the week before the U.S. Open, and they chartered a jet for people to go from here, from JDC, to the Open Championship. That made the field a little bit better, but it was still, pretty weak fields. And now, with this being 2 weeks away, with the Scottish next week, again, we're looking at extremely weak fields. Now, the one thing that did happen since 2008 was that, you sort of got bigger names in the field, and the bigger names started winning the event. Right? Since 2008, I think almost half the golfers that have won this event were ranked inside the top 50 in the OWGR at the time of their win. I think 6 of the 14 winners were actually ranked in 6 of those winners were actually ranked in the top 20 in the OGR. And the 6 winners, and there were 6 winners of this group that weren't in the OWGR top 50, and I'll name these off. Jordan Spieth, right, in 2013. Brian Harmon, 2014. Both of those guys are in it now. Bryson, 2014 or 2018, something like that. Mike Kim, Glover, Poston. I mean, these are guys that have been perennially in the top 50 OWGR, even though they weren't at the time of their victory. Now, what does this show? I mean, not much, but I do feel like it's an open event, right? You don't have those top guys that you really have to latch on to. Anyone can win this event, but being in the top 50 OWGR seems like it's helped here in the last, I'd say, 15, 20 years. When it comes to betting, you might want to keep a portion of your bankroll for live betting. Of course, my dumbass did not. I'll probably go over if I have to, if I see something. But in these weaker type field events, right, you're not going to have Rory or Scheffler, or Rahm down by 4 to 6 strokes after the first round and still be 20-1, right? You're just not going to see that. So, especially after round 1, you see a guy who, maybe had been ball striking the ball well, but couldn't make a putt, 4 strokes back, 40-1, 50-1. Make your move then. All right, let's get to the meat of the course. The PGA Tour heads to Silvis, Illinois for the John Deere Classic. TPC Deere Run is a 7,300-yard-ish par 71, 4 par 3s, 3 par 5s, which should be reachable by most golfers in the field in 2. The par 4 14th hole, short and could be drivable by some in the right conditions. The course is very easy, usually ranked in the bottom 10 in hardest courses on tour year in and year out. The 2 toughest holes are the par 4 9th and the par 4 18th. So if you have some golfers in your lineups who are at or near the cut line going into their last hole, you might be worried a little bit. Off the tee, golfers are going to see wide tree-lined fairways, large fairway bunkers, garden landing zones. The rough is 4 inches and fairly penal, but doesn't come into play that often, as over 70% of all tee shots land in the fairway here. The fairways usually play firm with a good amount of roll, but rainy, soft conditions could change that. On approach shots, golfers will see large greens that are guarded by bunkers and collection areas. These greens are very easy to hit. Over 70% of approaches land on the putting surface. Good wedge play is a must this week. Around 40% of all approaches come from 150 or less. That doesn't sound like too big of a number, but when you take into consideration that there are 3 par 5s and all 4 par 3s are over 150 yards, that leaves golfers with wedge in their hand on 7 to 8 of the 11 par 4s that are going to see. The greens are bent grass, have a bit of undulation and slope, somewhat slow, stick meter rating of around 11 to 11.5. Byron, what are you looking for in golfers this week, brother?
Let's go, Kenny. Played this golf course in conference. We played 36 holes in 32-degree weather all day. Walked off of there with an 86, and I was like proud of myself because it was blowing and freezing cold, and I couldn't believe when I saw people shot 68 in those conditions. But I'm jealous of these guys. We're going to be playing in swelteringly hot conditions this week. For me, I'm basically just looking for guys that, if you are a person that struggles to gain strokes off the tee, I feel like the John Deere Classic is the place for you. You know, this golf course, the reason why things are so interesting at this venue is because everyone is capable of winning this golf tournament. We've seen Brian Campbell win it. We've seen Brendan Todd contend. We've seen pretty much everyone that's been in the mix. Zach Johnson, Steve Stricker. Those kind of guys don't necessarily find themselves vibing super hard at like a US Open that's got thick rough, long-ass holes, you know. These are wedge savants, short game specialists, keep it in play. I think you can absolutely find guys getting it together in that department. So I'm looking for guys that rank well in the models. We're going to dive into the boxes here. Let's take a look-see as we go through the micro model rankings and things like that. I have got 7 boxes for us to check for Byron's boxes this week. We are looking at easy scoring conditions. It's going to be super, super easy this week. I mean, the defending champ was minus 18, and we had like monsoony weather. It was windy and blustery. I think if we take a look at the weather this week, it's relatively calm apart from Thursday. So, and we may not even see golf Thursday afternoon if there continue to be thunderstorms to be projected for the week. So we're looking for easy scoring conditions. We're looking for the micro model, what I was showing you here on the screen, kind of using every single hole, using the driving distances, the green regulation rates, all of that stuff for each specific hole, how it impacts each person's stats going forward. And then we're looking for strokes gained over the last 2 months, strokes gained putting on bent grass greens, which they'll be putting on here. This is a variety of recent putting and bent grass stats, not a total bent grass putting situation. And then just guys that play well. Top 5, top 10, top 20 percentages, along with their win percentages, which we'll be looking at over here. Model ranking, which I'm using all my percentages at the top of these columns to generate power rankings for these guys. And then I have a 7th box. I might leave the 7th box in going forward and kind of just come up with like a fun random box to check for the week. And this week is going to be a top 20 at the US Open. When I bet Davis Thompson here 2 years ago, it was because of a top 10 at the US Open at Pinehurst. I think Pinehurst and Shinnecock are 2 very similar kind of venues when it comes to what you can almost... It's like this John Deere Classic is like a watered down version of those 2 golf courses because they both have very easy fairways to hit. It's more of a second shot venue. Emphasis on short game around the greens. Now, are we going to be seeing scores of -3 winning? No. But, you know, similar skill set required, more birdies, less pars kind of thing. So these are the boxes. This is how they do it. Going forward to the finish rates over the last little while, we got our top 10 guys. Yeah, it's going to be guys that have finished top 20, top 10, top 5, and wins in the last little while. It's going to be Chris Gotterup. Jackson Coyven has got very minimal starts, people. You're going to see a lot of Jackson Coyven in models this week. That's going to look super goofy because he doesn't have a lot of starts, and he's played well in the starts that he has. So he's going to look Scotty Scheffler-esque. I had to reduce his Maniac Override here by 0.3 because I just can't have him ranked ahead of Ben Griffin and Chris Gotterup in his like 6th start of the year, you know, so we had to dump him down there a little bit. But beware of the Jackson Coyven stats this week. He's a very good golfer. We'll chat about him more. Ben Griffin's next, Chandler Blanchet, Jacob Bridgman, Ricky Fowler, Blades Brown, Johnny Kiefer, Neil Shipley, and Pearson Coody, rounding out the top 10 of upside potential over the last 12 months for these guys. Moving over to the micro model, we can actually just stop at the easy scoring. If you see a blue box, a blue text, it means that there are top 20 in that specific column, which is the boxes we were checking here. So the number 1 guy scoring in easy conditions this week is Johnny Kiefer, gaining 1.6 strokes in easy scoring conditions. Neil Shipley, Pearson Coody, Chandler Blanchet, Mac Masner, Max Griesemann, Chris Ventura, AJ Ewert, Ricky Fowler, and Ben Griffin are your boys gaining 1.1 on easy scoring when the scoring Average for the day is 1.5 strokes under par or easier. And we've seen that happen way often at this venue. It's either easy or medium. It's almost always those scoring conditions at the John Deere Classic. Then we are looking for some bent grass putters this week. You gotta get low. The way you go low, you roll them in, baby. So we're looking for guys that putt well. This is a mixture of bent grass putting. This is a mixture of just overall putting. Your best putters in the field. Coyven, McCarthy, Denny McCarthy, Pearson Coody, Vince Whaley, Peter Malnati, Brendan Todd, Eric Cole, AJ Ewert, Matt Kuchar, and Andrew Putnam, rounding out the top 10 of best bent grass putters this week. Moving over to the micro model, which is exactly the course fit model. It tailors it for this exact John Deere Classic TPC Deere Run venue. These are your best golfers for this golf course based off how this course presents itself. Coyven, Gotterup, Coody, Cole, Masner, Bridgman, Griffin, Bradley, Michael Kim, and Sudarshan Yelamiraju, your number 10th ranked micro model option this week. Couple names I want to mention. There is an AJ Ewert here just a little bit further down the boxes over there. So that's some fun stuff to notice. And then we're going to take a peek at what these guys have got up to over the last 2 months. Looking for guys playing some good golf coming into the week. Usually you see guys in good form tend to produce at this venue, at least over the more recent period of time. It's never bad to be playing good golf going into a golf tournament. These are your guys of the last 2 months gaining the most strokes in the field. Eric Cole, Ben Griffin, Chris Gotterup, Aldrich Potgieter, Tom Kim, Keith Mitchell, Jackson Super, JT Poston, Keegan Bradley, and Matt Wallace gaining 1.1 strokes on average over the last 2 months. So we'll see what happens in that department. Scooting back to the more recent form over here, there are 3 guys that check the boxes for a top 20 at the US Open. The US Open, if you come back to the John Deere Classic, you've just top 20 there, you've got confidence brimming out of your ass. Tom Kim, 3rd. Keith Mitchell, 4th. JT Poston, 4th. Some other names, Ben Griffin, 17th. Ben Coles, 23rd. Pearson Coody, 23rd. Jackson Coyven, 23rd. And Emiliano Grillo, 23rd at the US Open. Is this a bit of a cherry-picked stat? Maybe. Maybe there's something to it. You never know. So I thought I'd mention. These are your US Open guys that played nicely over there. And then the top 10 model rankings for the Model Maniac Patreon over here. Use code BETS26 for 50% off, or use the thing in the description. We've got number 1 in the model, Ben Griffin, Chris Gotterup, Jackson Coyven, Eric Cole, Mac Masner, Jacob Bridgman, Christian Bezaidnote, Keith Mitchell, JT Poston, and Ricky Fowler. I don't think I said Bezzy's name once in the top 10 rankings, but we got a big field, 140 people. We checking boxes for the top 20. Not rattling off 20 names here. But Bezzy checks 5 boxes, friends. He's playing some good golf. 7th in the model, $7,800. Very mediocre form coming in, but he's a John Deere Classic gem. So those are my guys this week for the boxes, for Byron's Boxes segment. Let's dive into some bets for this week's John Deere Classic. Kenny Kim.
All right, so first bet, I'm going up to the top of the board. I'm going to go Ben Griffin, 22-1. With 3 places. He's been playing much better golf the last month plus. 5 top 20s in his last 7 events, including a 3rd at Colonial, a 3rd at Doral. After struggling with his irons for most of the season, he's gained on approaches in 4 straight. He's had a 5th place finish here in the past. I'm going to go with him. I like the way he's playing. I know his iron game hasn't been the greatest when it comes to stats, but those 4 that he's played in a row. It's the first time he's done that in a while. We're going to go with Ben Griffin, 22-1, 3 places. It was either between him or Gotterup. They're both 22-1 with 3 places. I think 14-1, 15-1 without the placement market. I was thinking of that. Either one of those 2, so more than likely Gotterup's probably going to win. Next, it's going to be Tom Kim, 33-1 with 8 places. He comes in 4th in my model this week. He's 1st in approach play, 2nd in tee to green, and 4th in ball striking in this field in the last 24 rounds. Coming off a 3rd recently and had a 15th in Canada, a 6th at the Myrtle about a month ago, and that 3rd was at the US Open. He looks like his game is trending back. Doug Gim, 35-1 with 8 places. Gim comes in 4th in my model, just behind Tom. I think 5th in my model, actually. just behind Tom. He's first in tee to green, second in ball striking, and sixth in bogey avoidance the last 24 rounds in this field. He gains almost 1.5 strokes on the field whenever he plays in events with very weak fields. Next, it's going to be Max Homa, 50-1 with 8 places. I'll talk about him more later on in the show. Next, Emiliano Grillo, 66-1 with 8 places. He's got a couple of runner-ups here in the past, and has been on a decent run recently, ranking 13th in my model the last 24 rounds in this field. He's going to hit a bunch of fairways and greens, which is exactly what you want here at TPC Deere Run. His best putting surface is bent, and he's exceptionally good from 100 to 200 yards. Next, we got 3 long shots here. Carson Young, 125-1 with 8 places. Been doing real nice in the Korn Ferry Tour with 4 top 20s in his last 6 events. Went nuclear last week, shooting I think like 29 or 28 on a 9 during I think it was second round at the Korn Ferry. Back-to-back top 5 finishes here. Next, Luke Clinton, 140-1 with 8 places. Iron game, very strong lately. Ranks 7th in strokes gained approach in this field in the last 24 rounds. Best putting surface is bent, and he's had his best success on easy scoring condition courses, including this one last year, where he finished second. Last, it's going to be David Lipsky, 200-1, 8 places. A big number for someone who finished third here last year. It's enough for me to put a few bucks on him at 200-1. So, my bets this week: Ben Griffin, 22-1, 3 places. Tom Kim, 33-1, 8 places. Doug Gim, 35-1, 8 places. Max Homa, 50-1, 8 places. Emiliano Grillo, 66-1, 8 places. Carson Young, 125-1, 8 places. Luke Clanton, 140-1, 8 places. Lipsky, 200-1, 8 places.
Let's go, baby. I'm going to be joining you with Tom Kim, Kenny Kim. We're going to go Kim over here. I'm going to be showing you on the screen what Tom Kim gets up to in the model. Over the last 2 months, he's finishing 5th in the field in strokes gained, 26th in the micro model. Now, I want to also point out that while Kenny's going over and saying that he's better on bent, and then I'm showing you here, and then the guy's like actually better on POA, we run different stats for different periods of time. It's just, this is the whole point of golf handicapping, is you can parse together data how you want to paint your picture. You can throw in extra paint, you can take paint out, you can keep the colors to a minimal, you can throw as many colors in as you want. This is modeling, this is how it goes. Don't freak out and say that Kenny's lying or my model's broken. Both things could be true based off of different periods of time, different things like that. So just putting that out.
Yeah, just a reminder, I'm a short, recent form, recent stats guy. Byron's more long-term.
Exactly. Typically I like to employ more long-term stats when I'm leaning into the placement markets, because you're looking for consistency in those situations. You're looking for a large starter sample size to provide you with a good feeling of confidence that your guy's going to finish inside the top 20 over the last 2 years. If you're looking for winners, maybe you can be looking at a bit more recent form like Kenny does in that department. In the model, you can change your settings however you want to go with there. So, Tom Kim, fantastic recently. Just finished third at the US Open. That was his last start. He is chomping at the bit to get himself on a golf course to try and contend. Looking at his recent finishes over here as well, it's been really impressive. We actually finished third at the US Open, 15th at the RBC Canadian, and then we have a 6th place finish at the One Flight as well. So it's good to see Tom Kim doing his thing. And then just from a ball striking standpoint, if you're trying to pound fairways, Tom Kim's your guy. If you're looking for wedge play and mid-iron play, Tom Kim's your guy. It's seriously impressive. He's 7th from 100 to 150 and 21st from 150 to 200. Tom Kim at 35-1. I've also bet him with the top 5. Ty's paid in full over there. Then I'm going to be looking at my boy Aldrich Potgieter. Going forward, we had a WD from the John Deere Classic last year. We actually finished 8th at the RBC Canadian Open in our most recent start. And what I want to point out to you is Aldrich's recent form has actually been a lot more consistent than people typically want to give themselves credit for. We've got people calling me while I'm in the middle of a show. Don't they know that I'm a podcaster? Aldrich, when it comes to his more recent form, it's something that you don't necessarily notice from this guy. He's had really, really solid finishes. 25th, 14th, 35th, 8th. You know, his worst finish was a 48th at the truest. This is someone that we've typically seen multiple miscuts get strung together. He's not in that situation. If you take a look at some easy scoring conditions, Aldrich typically does his best work in easy and medium scoring conditions compared to hard and hellish. I love that. You know, he's got the distance off the tee to hit 2 irons instead of drivers for some of these guys. So he can hit a 2 iron as far as Brian Campbell can hit a driver. And then in the last little while, he's been gaining some serious strokes on the field because of that 8th place finish there at the RBC Canadian, as well as the 35th at the PGA Championship. And I think he was in the top 5 after round 1 for Aldrich. So he is 60-61 with 6 places over at a place floating on some rivers. You never know where you can find that. Some other names that I'm going to be looking at this week is going to be Kenny's guy, my guy. He's actually retweeted my tweets back in the day. It's Emiliano Grillo. And when it comes to Grillo, we've got that 2nd place finish back here 4 years ago and a 2nd place finish here versus Brian Campbell in that playoff. Tough scenes. He's just a ball striking beast for this golf course. This strokes gained off the tee plus approach is going to be tailored exactly for TPC Deere Run. So he's the 13th best in that department. Very accurate driver of the golf ball. His proximity numbers are the best, you know, from inside the 100 to 200 range. And, you know, we're kind of just expecting some putting luck to come our way with Emiliano Grillo at 84-1. You can grab him there, and he's going to be Lindeque's ladder of the week this week. I'll put it up for you guys over here. Emiliano Grillo right over here, baby. Look at the man cooking up some deer steak for us. The grill master, Emiliano Grillo, here in the Discord. We're going with the basically 13-1 top 5. We're going to drop 0.2 units on him there. We're going to go with another 6-1 top 10, gaining a 0.3 unit bet on that one, and then plus 265 for a top 20 bet on Emiliano Grillo. You're going 0.6 units there. You want to make sure that if that top 20 comes through, you're still making a unit on your investment there, even if he doesn't top 10. You know, you don't want to top 20 and just kind of like break even. You want your ladder to pay you out. So we're going a bit more than a unit than we typically do. Yeah, we're going with what, 1.2 units total, because I wanted to add an extra 0.2 units onto this top 20 to kind of get us over the line. Shout out Emiliano Grillo, but he's just a handsome looking chef there, if you ask me. So go win this thing, baby. I'll be following him. I will also be out at the John Deere Classic. I'll be rocking one of these shirts for one of the days. I'll be all 4 days there, baby. I'm going to be buying beers for you if you show up. Find me, talk to me nicely, whisper some sweet nothings. I'll buy you some beverages, maybe some hot dogs and a massage. You never know what we get up to over there. Scooting along in this department, we're going to go with another guy that's checking some serious boxes for us this week, friends. Serious boxes, and it caught me way off guard. I was very excited to fire up the model and see what it produced for us this week. AJ Ewert is somebody that checked as many boxes as Ben Griffin. You know, when we were taking a look here, he's checking 6 of the 7 boxes this week. Ben Griffin as well. Those are the only 2 names doing so. And he doesn't really check as many inside the top 10 as you'd like, but we've got a 19th, a 17th, and a 29th coming into this week. If we take a look at AJ Ewert's easy and medium scoring conditions, he's top 20 in both of those categories. He's one of the better putters in the field. He's also top 15 in the micro model. He's also been playing some really snazzy golf over the last 2 months. You can get AJ Ewert at 150-1 with 6 places at places like that, and I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, $7,100 in DraftKings, we'll obviously be looking at him in DFS as well. I think AJ Ewert is a complete smash this week. Other bets that I have for us this week are going to be by the likes of... that's it for me so far. I think, you know, it's been a busy day. Sold the house, by the way, people. We've accepted the offer. We had the inspector come through. This morning, I had a guy fixing my fridge and my dishwasher while the inspector's here, and we just, you know, it's just going crazy. So I haven't had a perfect opportunity to dive into the bets as much as I want. The model also took a while because of the playoff this morning. Blah-de-blah. You know how it goes. Excuses are for losers, but that's my excuse for you guys there. Back 9 bets, 3 Eastern. I'll have Ian McNeil on there. He's going to be at the grounds, I think, this week pre-tournament. We'll see what he has to say about everything. I'll be hanging out with him at the John Deere when I'm out there this week in Silvis, Illinois. So those are my bets. I'm eyeing out some names by the likes of JT Poston this week as well. Maybe some Erectile or Jackson Koiven. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be part of the fish that go with Koiven in this department, but at the same time, I'm going to be there. If my guy's in the mix, it would be so much fun to like have someone really fun to root for. And Koiven's one of them, as well as, Poston's not terrible, but Aldrich would be awesome. I would love an Aldrich to come home, or Griot. That would be fun for him to finally land the plane in Silvis on TPC Deere Run. All right, Kenny, the lead singer of, I think, a band called Blood, Sweat, and Tears passed away. So a little tribute to him this week. We are DFSing it with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. This week we've got a couple guys sitting in the 10K range who we might be passing on. We got $10,700 Chris Goddard. We got $10,500 Ben Griffin. And we got a $10,000 flat Keith Mitchell. I repeat, Keith Mitchell, $10,000, 18-1 to win the John Deere Classic. What are we doing in the 10K range, Kenny?
I'm playing Goddard up and I'm playing Griffin. Griffin's going to be my first cash game cornerstone. Save a couple $100 on Goddard up. Have one of these big stud. The guys, proven winners up top. Like I said in the betting segment, he's been playing better golf. He's gained stroke to designs 4 in a row. Last time he was a favorite at an event, and he is a favorite, co-favorite with Goddard. He won in the fall. I bet him. So he doesn't mind being the favorite up there. So I'm going to go ahead, make Ben my first cash game cornerstone. I will play Goddard up as well this week. I think that that nice low drive, hit it in the fairway, hit it long. We've seen him play well on courses like that, like waste management, stuff like that, where bank grass greens. It has similar tendencies there, maybe just a little bit more difficult. But I like Ben Griffin more if I had to pick though between the two.
I think I lean the same way there by a fraction. He's $200 cheaper. Not that it really matters that much this week. Ben Griffin just been playing better. If you take a look at the two of them coming into this week, Goddard kind of peaked around right there at the PGA Championship and truly at the beginning of the season. Ben Griffin, Mike just showed us the photo there of him. With the monkey at his wedding on his back. I think he's got the monkey off his back, Kenny, and he's playing some good golf. We got 2/3 in the last couple starts and at 17th and a 10th in the most recent. So Ben's really coming in with some good form. Keith Mitchell's interesting because I was chatting to Sweet Spot last night on the Back Nine Bet show we do on Sunday nights when we recap and preview everything. And we spent 4 hours talking about the John Deere Classic last night, as we always do. And it's like, before the pricing comes out, Keith Mitchell's a fantastic option. He's playing some fantastic golf right now. Just 4th at the US Open. The conference is sky high, 22nd at the Travelers. And it's not like this is just new results. He's got a 5th at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson as well. But he's $10,000. He's Keith Mitchell. People like to click his name as well. Is he really going to be the guy that lands the plane for you, at this price? So I don't necessarily know what the hell to do with him at this price. I think it's ownership dependent. What do you think is going to happen with Keith's ownership, Kenny?
I don't think it could be that high, right? I think Ben and Chris are going to take the majority of it up top. Like you said, the price tag, I think, is going to keep people off.
Yeah, it's an interesting price tag at 10K, because where do you have Keith in your model for the week?
For the week, he's 8th.
Yeah, so
he's actually higher. He's actually the second highest ranked golfer in my model above $9,000. Eric Cole's first.
Jesus. So you've just got a bunch of non-9Kers in there, just flooding the zone. So we'll be escalating to the 8K range here pretty shortly. But until we get there, we got Keegan Bradley sitting at $9,700 this week. We've got Jacob Bridgman, Jackson Koiven at $9,400, and JT Poston at $93. Michael Thorbjornsen tried up quite nicely in his debut.
The big conversation is Koiven, right? The guy is an amazing amateur. He's played well in PGA Tour events before. This is his first event as a pro. Does that make his mental a little different? Who knows? We're not going to be able to know. I think the big thing about him is going to be ownership. If he's the highest owned golfer in the field, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
He's top 5 highest owned golfer in the field. I'm not playing. I'm going to take that risk. I mean, the guy could be amazing. You know, he's been amazing playing in college. And it has transferred over to his few tour events as well. He's played well. But if he's going to be 18% owned, I think he's worth a fade for me.
This is the John Deere Classic, people. You know, I think there's a very specific skill set required for the US Open. Now, he did finish T5 at the Pro Core as well in the fall with a field full of Ryder Cuppers, you know, so, but he's got game. And he's priced fairly. I think if Jackson Coyven came in at like $7,800, we got serious issues this week, you know, so maybe the price tag at 94 was a solid option. I don't know. Still so much to be seen, but again, the John Deere is like the birthing ground of these superstars that we've seen with like Jordan Spieth.
I don't see anybody in the 9K range that could be close to him in ownership. Nobody.
Facts.
Nobody in the 9K range. He is going to be, just looking at it now, he is going to be the highest owner in the 9K. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, because like if I take this out, he's number 1. You know, like this is going to be everyone's simulations. It's going to be everyone's projections. He's going to be ultra popular. I think he's the better fish bet of the week, Kenny. Just go smash a Jackson Coyven top 20 real quick at DraftKings. Use code FGD while you're doing so. What is his top 20 market looking like for old Coyven? Because I think he's absolutely someone that, yeah, you can grab him at plus 126 for a top 20. He's been doing that pretty routinely, 23rd at the US Open. I think you can bet him for a decent chunk of what you put your lineups in for, and call the top 20 a day. If he top 20s, you cash, and you just hope he's T19, because Ty's paid in full on that bet there. And if he doesn't, you just hope he misses the cut, and you just cash in big time on DFS, because we could see 20% of the field having 5 or 6s for certain. So names in this range that I don't mind are Erectile, obviously, playing fantastic golf lately and driving the ball a lot better than we've typically seen him. That 2nd and 8th place finish along with the 6th at the One Flight's very enticing. And JT Poston, he's starting to rattle off some seriously good finishes. This is the time of year that JT Poston gets his shit done. You know, first the Memorial, 4th at the US Open. This 69 at the Travelers was nice to watch him make a 12 on one of the holes. He chipped it in the water like 3 times. He was greenside on a par 5 in 2 and walked off with a 12. So that 69 is a little misleading, and I think he's absolutely live to have a spike week again. Solid in medium conditions. Give me him there. This week's Statfish of the Week, if you've been staring at the screen for the last little while, it's a man that's very mysterious, and it's quite interesting to note that his last top 10 came at last year's Memorial Tournament. He's only had 2 miscuts since then, but no top 10s. And hilariously, one of the miscuts was at the Memorial Tournament. So this is exactly what Jordan Spieth provides you as this week's Statfish of the Week. As you can see, he's a glaring issue in the model. Everyone else is hanging out with 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes, 5 boxes. Jordan Spieth's checking nothing. You look at this recent form, there's no upside here. His best finish lately since the RBC Heritage, which was post-Masters, is an 18th place finish. He just cannot get into the top 10. If you take a look at his total percentages over here, there's a 0 in the top 10 column. There's a 0 in the top 5 column, but it's 38% of the time he's top 20. So you could potentially bet him top 20 if you're in the mood for that. But I just don't think he's presenting you with the upside you're looking for here. Played here last year, 2 years ago, finished 26th. So that's what Jordan Spieth can get up to. He's also just really pathetic when it comes to scoring conditions that are easy and birdieable. He's a short game guru. In these hard and hellish conditions, he's gaining strokes on the field. In easy and medium, he's losing overall. When it comes to the micro model ranking, there's just nothing good about Jordan Spieth's profile right now. It's just all very mediocre. There's not like anything glaringly bad. It's just there's not anything good either. So you're getting like that from Jordan Spieth, and then his last little bit of golf is substandard. over the last 2 months. Not checking that box either. So Jordan Spieth, $9,200, the John Deere darling from many, many moons ago. 43rd in the model is going to be this week's Statfish of the week. Don't get caught out by Jordan Fish's price tag at $9,200 because I just don't see that making any sense whatsoever. Likely 10% owned, maybe, but still, that's the rake. If you are 10% people listening, do not play Jordan Spieth this week. He is a stat fish that will get you stinky. In the $8,000 range, Kenny.
I got one guy. The only guy I like in the 9K range is JT Poston. I'm with you on that. We talked about him. I think he fits that profile. He's the one guy I'm going to play in the 9K range. There's no doubt. But yes, let's go on to the 8K range. I got two of my cash game cornerstones right on top. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be Tom Kim. Ball striking has been great. Approach game has been wonderful. Doesn't make too many bogeys, right? So that's solid. Bogeys really kill you here at JDT.
Yeah.
Bogey avoidance is definitely in my model. And I like the way, I think he's at a top 5 here. Maybe not. I don't remember his course history. But like I said before in the past, I'm not too big on course history unless they missed a cut every year or something like that. I'd rather go on form, and he's got that form. So I like Tom. My third cash game cornerstone is going to be Doug Gim. He's making a lot of cuts. Been a cut-making machine this year. He's fifth in my model behind Tom, first in this field in tee to green in the last 24 rounds. Gains almost 1.5 strokes in the field whenever he plays in events with weak fields. So I do like Doug Gim as my third cash game cornerstone. One sneaky guy I might like in the 8K range, Matt Wallace at 8,500. I think he came runner-up last week in Europe, if I am not mistaken. So he has that going for him. Solid mentals when it comes down to that. And he's ranked pretty highly in my model, 15th in the model. His iron game, very, very strong, 15th in his in this field in the last 24 rounds. Good at bogey avoidance. Tee to green, he's, I think, 16th in this field. I think he's going to be single-digit owned. I like Matt Wallace as a sneaky play in the 8K range. He would have been my hustler play of the week, part B, because I got another one coming up. Another guy I do like, Denny, right underneath, Denny McCarthy at $8,200. Sort of gives off that Davis Thompson vibe. But instead of a top 10 at the U.S. Open, it was 11th last week at the Travelers. Bentgrass guru, putts extremely well, has been having some good starts here recently, and has played well at this course throughout his career.
Yeah. He's played really well, yeah. Putt's great. Loves these kind of venues with like thick rough for some reason. I don't know what his deal is with that. Top 20 in strokes gained over the last 2 months. Checking the 4 boxes there is Denny McCarthy, top 20 in the model. Pearson Coody is someone that I said yesterday before seeing the stats. Someone I wasn't quite sure what he's doing at $800, but at $8,800, he's 11th in the model, and he's a really good bent grass putter. If you go over to like the strokes gained putting over here for the bent gents, you can take a look-see over here on the Model Maniac Patreon. We've got our guys that are like extremely good on bent grass. This is just pure bent grass putting, not mixed in with anything. And there's Pearson Coody sitting second right behind Gary Kigo, who I will be following early in the year. Being the key word there for old Garrick. So we'll see what happens this week following some South Africans. Bentgrass, Pearson Coody keeps the ball in play. Great driver of the golf ball, putts well, hits a bunch of greens. We'll see what he does. We'll see what happens there. I love Tom Kim in this range, like you mentioned. Let's dive into the sevens, Kenny Kim. As we get into like Sudarshan Yalamaraju range, we've got some Max Grieseman, Mac Marsner, Christian Bezated, Michael Kim, the defending champ from ages ago. Some Rico Hoey, Blades Brown, Daniel Berger, Tony Finau in the field. Where he be now? He be now in Silvis, Illinois. Is Tony Finau waving at us there? No longer rocking the Nikes there, Mike. You got to get he wearing the MJ Jordan doily. I don't know if you guys know what. Can you know what a doily is?
It's what you put underneath like a cup or something like that, or a teacup to make it look pretty. Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of his shirts he wears every Friday
I'll
is a doily.
update his photo. So.
What?
I'll update his photo.
Okay. You're throwing stuff from the peanut gallery. I'm going to give you a hard time now. Kenny, $7,000 range. What are we getting up to over here?
Final cash game cornerstone is going to be Emiliano Grillo at $7,300. Again, he's going to hit every green. He's going to hit he's going to hit every fairway. He's going to hit a lot of the greens. You got to stay away from the rough. He's played well here in the past. He's excellent from 100 to 120. Give me Emiliano Grillo. So the cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Ben Griffin at 10,500, Tom Kim at 8,700, Doug Gim at 8,600, Grillo at 7,300. Right now, I am finishing out that lineup. Again, the lineup last week was a raising success. It cashed in the GPPs. Again, I think I'm 56% win percentage for this year. It's gone down a little bit. I lost 3 weeks in a row prior to this week, but I'm trying to get back on a good track. My last two guys in my lineup are going to be Kiefer at 7,400. Again, he came up on your model a bunch. Like if you go back to the Byron's boxes, the man was just all over the model. He comes in top 10 in my model. Top 5 in strokes gained tee to green, off the tee, approach, and ball striking in the last 24 rounds in this field. So Kiefer is going to be in that cash lineup, and Carson Young is going to be in my cash lineup this week as well. A guy with good course history here. He's gone really well on the Korn Ferry Tour recently with a bunch of top 20 finishes. He went nuclear for a round for 9 holes, shooting, I think, 28 or 29 last week on the Korn Ferry Tour. Like I said, a couple of top 5s here. So that's going to be my cash lineup for a week. I'm probably not going to change it. But we'll see. If there's some weather advantages and stuff like that, we might have to adjust. Now, I will do my hustler play of the week is also in the 7K range. Mike, you can go ahead and hit the music. It's Max Homa, 50 to 1 with 8 places. I'm betting him too at $7,500. After the Masters, Homa did not look good for a couple of months plus. But he's gained strokes in all major strokes gained categories except around the green at Colonial in his last 2 events. So there is a little bit of trending upwards. He's got a couple of top 25s. He likes this course a lot. Finished 5th here last year. Definitely a gut play, right? But I just feel something about Homa this week. Again, an excellent putter on bent grass greens. I guess in the micro model, he's 11th this week for you. Right? Yeah. So Byron has him up there this week. I'm hoping for 8%, maybe less ownership for Max Homa. Plus, I'm betting him 50 to 1 with 8 places. So Max Homa will be my hustler play of the week. Who do you like in a 7K range?
Kenny, this Ben Cole's 2.46 year strokes gained approach situation, these are power ratings, but at the same time, it just emphasizes how insanely good this guy has been on approach the last little while. He is built for this golf course when it comes to ball striking. He's 23rd in the micro model with a -1 in the putting column there. This is how bad he is putting, that he's still 23rd despite having, if you just filter by strokes gained approach this week, he's night and day ahead of Daniel Berger, who's almost as bad a putter as he is. All of these guys at the top with really good ball striking really struggle with the putter for the most part, but he is just playing such good golf right now, especially the last little while. He seems to have figured his putter out over here. What you don't see in this situation is a Korn Ferry Tour event win as well for Ben Coles. So this 23rd and 29th at the US Open and RBC Canadian also add a win on the KFT to Ben Coles' resume. Starting to really come in with some good form. And, he's made the cut here in the last 2 years and walked around with a very mopey attitude. I vividly recall walking by him and just, I remember myself being a horny teenager, 16, 17 years old on the golf course, and just my round went bad, I'm just not going to walk around like this. That was literally what Ben Coles was doing as a professional, and I couldn't believe that someone would walk around with that bad of an attitude on a PGA Tour venue. Obviously seems to have figured his stuff out now. So if he can keep his head straight, Ben Coles at $7,300 is a delight for me. I'm also going to be very much in the mood. And I do not know how much I'm going to play AJ Ewart, but I'm going to play a lot of him. Because I'm trusting the 6 of 7 boxes this week for old AJ. I think it's just too good to pass up. We are making our debut here. But a 19th, a 17th, and 29th coming into this week is playing some great golf, checking so many boxes for us. Great putter, great micro model, great form, all of that. Let's go there. Garrick Higo, Also, if you are looking for someone that can sun run on the greens at a golf course like this, Garrick Higo is absolutely one of them. He's got a 21st and a 27th for you over here. I think he's in the mix. Zach Blair played quite nicely at the US Open as well. Might not have a top 20, but he finished 32nd at the US Open. This is his next start. There's a couple guys that may have played the US Open Travelers and the John Deere Classic that could be running out of some steam. Zach has got a good opportunity to really just sling some dick around here in the Silvis area and see what he can get up to. Andrew Putnam at $7,200 makes a ton of sense given how accurate he is off the tee and how good of a putter he is. When you get this amount of fairway percentage rates, you're going to be finding a lot more green regulations than you typically do at other golf courses. So he's 14th in the micro model for me. Andrew Putnam, $7,200 is someone. Zach Baoshao is another guy that's going to be checking some boxes for us here. And then Jackson Suba, obviously, at 32nd in the model there, too, doing some good work. Andrew Novak just had a scorcher of a round to end up the Travelers. You never know what that results in going forward. Just thought I'd mention maybe round one showdown, round one leader type situation. In the $6,000 range, Kenny, we have got the likes of Hayden Springer, Mark Hubbard, who you mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Very interesting stuff there. He's playing with like some heart condition right now where some doctors didn't even let him play. But because it's golf, it's the only sport that you are allowed to play with that condition type situation. And he's right on the bubble of keeping his tour card. So a really interesting story there.
That's why he's playing. That's what his brother said.
Yeah.
Like the only reason he should not be playing golf probably right now, Hubbard. But because he's so close to where he needs to be to secure his card for next year, and he's getting free money playing in the signature events too, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to play." I don't know if I'm going to use him. You know what I'm saying? Kudos to him. All right. I mean, like, hopefully nothing crazy happens. But kudos to him. A couple of guys in the 7K that we missed that I would be looking at. Seamus Power at 7,200. With the course history highlights here, and Lee Hodges at $7,000. Now we're going into the 6K range. Guys that catch my eye, maybe some of y'all know, right? Last time we saw him, he finished top 20 at the CJ Cup, another Byron Nelson, another easy course out there. Playing, maybe he can manufacture that. I doubt he'll be 2-3% owned, probably. Yeah. When it comes down to it. Hoagie seems like he should fit this type of course, right? Hits every fairway, hits every green, sort of what you want. Luke Plan's iron game has been really, really strong here recently. Had a good finish here last year. I think Lucas Glover and Zach Johnson are probably live, right? I mean, they play here every single year and make the cut here every single year, right? Top 30 upside, maybe top 40 upside, but in the 6K range. They could be your final piece in some type of lineup down there. There was somebody else.
Now, I will preface the Lucas Glover situation with just very bad golf coming into the last little while. So
Zach's probably been playing better over on the Champions Tour.
Zach has been playing. I said Glover playing bad. ZJ just won here in the Midwest at the Principal Charity Classic not so long ago. So, and ZJ for a top 40 bet is definitely going to be in the mix for me as well.
Is that still plus money?
For a top 40? I don't think they had them out when I was looking earlier, but it's likely. I mean, the guys in the 6K range, surely that's plus money top 40 situation. So, and it's happened 1, 2, 3 times, and the other time it was a 44th. So basically 4 of the last 5, at this golf course. Insane stuff from ZJ. Makes a lot of sense at this golf course for sure. Tom Hoagie's exciting, Kenny. At this kind of a golf course. I'll be following him for sure. He's my boy.
Yeah, he's going to be a fan favorite there.
Yeah.
David Lipsky, another guy down here who finished top 5 here last year. Could be worth a look because, he's had spike weeks. I think he's had a couple of other top 10s this season. And he got a bunch of missed cuts.
T24 the truest.
I remember he had a top 10 earlier. 24 the truest, and that's with all the big dogs too.
Yeah.
So I know he had a random top 10 earlier this year. He could spike Hank the Tank Lebioda at $6,500. we've seen him a little bit, like in the events he's played, make a little bit of noise. He's always been a great ball striker, iron player. Maybe take a look at 6,500.
Yeah, he played really good golf here a couple years ago, and this 8th place finish was. I don't want to get too storytelling here, but this was right around when his dad had a medical condition, and you could just see his entire golf game fell off the planet right away. So it must be good to be playing some good golf for Hank again now that his dad is. I don't actually know. I'm not going to comment much more on there, but worth noting. Interesting other names down here. I wanted to mention the likes of Chandler Blanchet is someone that's popping quite nicely for me down here in his debut. He's one of these guys that is a very accurate driver of the golf ball, solid iron player as well. I think this is a great venue for him, especially if conditions are easy for old Chandler Blanchet there. And then my guy Neil Shipley as well. If he's just going to keep it in the fairway non-stop, everything else is just going to be easier and easier for you. I believe in his upside. This is more of a maniac play than a model play. I think he's just a guy that can absolutely get it together for us at $6,800, 66 on the model. Any other names down at the bottom here that you're in the mood for, Kenny?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. If shout out Kevin Streelman's brother, who's a pastor. I was standing there just watching him play a random hole on the par 3, I think of the 12th. Made an ace. Next hole, his brother bought me a beer. It was awesome.
Nice.
The pastor, Mr. Pastor Streelman. So fun stuff there. Lots of good memories at the John Deere Classic. So looking forward to a fun week this week. One and done scene for you, Kenny. I lied to you guys last week. I said Colin Morikawa. I'd already played him somewhere, so I went with Aaron Rye. Disaster land. Didn't
mine wasn't great either. I forget who I used. I think I used Kitayama. But I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Bach Eater for my international. I'm thinking, Goddard I still have live. Doug Gim I still have. Denny McCarthy I still have. Matt Wallace could be my sneaky. We'll see. It's going to be somewhere there.
I'm gonna go Tom Kim.
Or just use Koivu. All right. I mean, just go ahead and use him. That could be a possibility. I wish he wasn't American. I wish he was foreign because my foreign people in the Slider Cup are getting slim.
AJ Ewart this week.
It could be an option.
You never know. I don't know. I'm going to try and figure out how to leverage this guy hard this week. He's popping really nicely this week. So we'll see what happens. For me, it could be like a JT Poston or a Tom Kim. I'm going to still kind of flip and flat. It will be one of my outrights, as always. So we'll see how it goes there. Go listen to Pat and the boys as they make their things, because it is the Mayo Cup. Pat Mayo hosts these shows on his network. You can find inside leverage by listening to his stuff, hitting the like, hitting the subscribe on Mayo Media. Go listen to his one and done segments on his show, because that moves the market for his very own contest that has 6 figures to the top 10 names in that contest.
Tim makes his pick every week, so that basically eliminates that man.
Exactly. Tim Anderson is on Ben Griffin this week, I think.
Oh, damn!
If I recall, I think
that's a killer.
If I remember correctly,
that ruins my week. Thanks for telling me.
I think I might be spewing. I listened this morning amidst a lot of other stuff I can't remember. So be sure to go check and see who's undercursed this week. As always, catch me on X at the Model Maniac. I'm posting all my stuff over there. You can jump into the Model Maniac Patreon. Use code BETS26 or the code below, whatever you're in the mood for. All my stuff is in there. Don't forget to comment below in the comments on the YouTube who's going to win this week. If you were the winner, reach out to me. We didn't look at it. Nobody
picked Hovland. No
one picked Hovland. Well,
really?
There we go. So womp womp. This week, maybe the John Deere Classic. The first 2 comments with the correct winner this week, I'll give you guys 2 this week, because it's a John Deere Classic. I'm feeling generous. Find me out at Silvis this week. I'll buy you a beer. I'll be wearing some flashy ass clothing. Mrs. Maniac got me a nice 4th of July shirt there. Gonna be walking 36 holes a day, just following guys. I love doing that, and it'll be.
So you know what we should do next year, Byron? I should come, and we should go to the event together, and play some golf.
Kenny, sounds like a dangerous time. And I don't know. Are you going to walk with me, or are we just going to go to the event and then split up? Because I trudge. Yeah.
Where else would I go? Yeah.
Let's go. Okay. We can make some plans. That's a perfect time.
Well, let's plan that for next year.
Okay.
All right,
my brother. Let's make some plans.
You can find me. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You can find me on X at Kendo VT. I'll have my final betting card there. Any changes to my cash game cornerstones, any pertinent info, any live bets will all be on X at Kendo VT. Should be a fun week. I know it's your Super Bowl. I'm going to be on the King of the Draft tomorrow. Make sure you watch that on Spencer's network. I do us proud because Byron made it to the next round. But Byron is ranked 8th.
By AI.
I'm 20th. I'm 20th out of the 32, so I'm the back half. So me getting through would be an upset.
Underdog story.
So make sure you watch that. Should be a fun week. It's always a fun event. Happy 4th of July to everyone. Let's win some money, America.
What a horrible way to end.
Say that one more time. You lagged out there. Just say it one more time.
You lagged
Kenny.
out as you closed out, Kenny.
I said, let's win some motherfucking money, America.
Okay.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up.